There are moments in life when the body tries to warn you quietly, gently, almost whispering for help. But after the age of 50, those whispers can turn into dangerous signals most seniors mistake for just tiredness, just aging, or just stress. Yet behind these small moments may be something far more serious than most people realize. Falling blood sugar. Low blood sugar is not always dramatic. It does not always appear with shaking hands or sudden collapse. Most seniors never realize their glucose is dropping until the symptoms begin to show slowly. A strange headache, sudden weakness, sudden sweating, lightheadedness, trouble thinking clearly, or a wave of anxiety that makes no sense. These moments are not random. They are not minor. They are not harmless. They are warnings. And in many seniors, these warnings appear hours, sometimes days, before something serious happens. Let me tell you about Marjorie, a 66-year-old woman from Ohio. She was active, cheerful, and believed she was eating healthy. But every afternoon around 3 o'clock, she felt her heart beat a little faster, her hands tremble slightly, and her mind become foggy. She blamed it on age. She blamed it on stress. She blamed it on not drinking enough water. But one day during a routine checkup, her doctor asked a simple question. Do you ever feel shaky, confused, or weak in the afternoon? When she said yes, he looked at her with concern. That is your blood sugar dropping too low, and it can be dangerous. No one had ever told her this. Across the Atlantic, in Germany, a 64-year-old man named Karl had a similar experience. He worked part-time, walked daily, ate home-cooked meals, and thought he was doing everything right. Yet he kept feeling sudden waves of dizziness when he stood up. Sometimes he felt hungry even after eating. Other times he felt irritable for no reason. His wife one day noticed he looked pale and sweaty at breakfast. "You look sick," she said. He waved it off. But after weeks of symptoms, he discovered his blood sugar was crashing every morning, and his body had been trying to warn him long before he listened. These quiet signs are easy to ignore, and that is exactly why low blood sugar is so dangerous for seniors. It hides. It disguises itself. It blends in with the everyday life of someone over 50. Most people think low blood sugar only affects diabetics. They think it only happens if you skip meals. They think it only occurs in emergencies. But the truth is, millions of seniors experience low blood sugar because of hidden causes. The wrong breakfast, the wrong snacks, too much caffeine, certain medications, long gaps between meals, stress hormones, and unstable metabolism. This video will uncover the 12 warning signs your blood sugar is too low, signs that often appear before anything dangerous happens, signs that your body has been sending, but you may not have recognized. These signs can protect your heart, your brain, and your long-term health if you learn to notice them early. Low blood sugar does more than make you feel weak. It affects your mood, your memory, your energy, your heart rhythm, and even your sleep. And if these warning signs are ignored, seniors can experience falls, confusion, nighttime panic, fainting, or sudden crashes that feel frightening and out of nowhere. But here is the most important truth. Your body never gives up on you. It always warns you before something goes wrong. You just have to learn its language. In this video, you will learn that language. You will understand why your blood sugar drops, how to recognize the warnings, and how to protect yourself before the symptoms become dangerous. And once you learn these 12 signs, you will never ignore them again. Low blood sugar is one of the most misunderstood conditions in senior health. People talk about high blood sugar every day, diabetes, insulin resistance, prediabetes, but almost no one talks about the danger that happens on the other side, when glucose drops too low. And yet for adults over 50, low blood sugar can be just as frightening, just as damaging, and sometimes even more dangerous. What makes it even harder is that the symptoms look innocent at first. They look like ordinary aging, ordinary tiredness, ordinary stress. But behind these subtle signs, something serious is happening inside the body. Something that affects your brain, your heart, your energy, your mood, and your long-term health. To understand why low blood sugar is so dangerous after 50, you must first understand what happens inside the body when glucose levels fall. Glucose is the body's main fuel source. It powers your muscles, your organs, and especially your brain. The brain alone uses more than 20% of your total glucose supply every single day. When you were younger, your body could stabilize your glucose quickly because your liver was strong, your pancreas was responsive, and your hormones were balanced. But as you age, all of these systems slow down. The liver becomes more sluggish in releasing stored glucose. The pancreas becomes slower at responding to changes. Hormones that once kept your appetite, cravings, and energy stable now swing more unpredictably. This is why seniors experience sudden dips in energy, sudden weakness, sudden anxiety, sudden shaking, and sudden confusion. For someone over 50, low blood sugar does not feel like what you see in movies. There is no dramatic collapse, no fainting in the street, no medical emergency right away. Instead, it starts with tiny changes, a shift in your mood, a wave of hunger that does not make sense, a strange trembling in your hands, a moment of brain fog, a sudden drop in energy, or an unexplained feeling of sadness or fear. Most seniors ignore these signs because they resemble everyday life. But inside the body, something urgent is happening. When glucose drops too low, your brain panics. It sends signals to your body to release emergency hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, to raise your sugar quickly. That is why some seniors suddenly feel anxious, shaky, sweaty, or irritable for no clear reason. It is not emotion, it is chemistry. A 59-year-old man named Louis from Spain learned this the hard way. He was a calm man, never had anxiety in his life, but around late afternoon he sometimes experienced a wave of panic so strong he had to sit down. His heart raced, his hands trembled, and he felt a sense of dread. He thought something was wrong with his heart. After several doctor visits, tests showed nothing. Only when a nutritionist tested his glucose did they discover the truth. His blood sugar was dropping dangerously low between meals. He was not anxious, he was hypoglycemic. Once he adjusted his meals, the panic attacks vanished. Stories like Lewis's reveal a truth most seniors never learn. Low blood sugar can mimic anxiety, depression, dizziness, confusion, weakness, mood swings, and even memory loss. A 64-year-old woman named Alina from the United Kingdom experienced moments when she walked into a room and forgot why she was there. She blamed herself, thinking she was becoming forgetful with age. But her doctor discovered that her breakfast, a bowl of cereal and orange juice, spiked her sugar too high, causing a crash 90 minutes later. This crash created her episodes of brain fog. When she replaced her breakfast with eggs and protein, the fog disappeared. She said it felt like someone cleaned the inside of her mind. Another hidden danger is the effect low blood sugar has on the heart. When glucose drops, the body releases adrenaline to raise levels quickly. This increases heart rate, blood pressure, and stress hormones. Seniors who experience low blood sugar often feel palpitations, chest discomfort, or irregular heartbeat, which can be terrifying. A 71-year-old man named Harold from New York experienced several nights where he woke up with his heart racing. His doctor recommended a heart monitor, but the issue was not his heart. It was his blood sugar dropping too low at night. His late-night snack of crackers was triggering a spike followed by a crash. Once he stabilized his evening meals, the nighttime heart episodes stopped. Low blood sugar also affects balance, which is a critical issue for seniors. When your brain does not receive enough glucose, your coordination weakens. Your limbs may feel heavy. Your steps may feel unsteady. You may feel dizzy or lightheaded. This increases the risk of falls, one of the most dangerous events for seniors. A 68-year-old woman named Teresa from Italy fainted briefly while bending down to pick something up. Doctors tested her for heart conditions, but her heart was normal. Her blood sugar, however, was extremely low. Her lunch was too small, her breakfast too sugary, and long gaps between meals were crashing her levels. Once she adjusted her timing, the fainting episodes never returned. Perhaps one of the least understood side effects of low blood sugar is how it affects mood. Senior mental health is deeply connected to glucose stability. When sugar drops, serotonin drops, dopamine drops, your brain feels empty. This can create mood swings that feel uncontrollable. Seniors who experience unexplained sadness, irritability, or emotional overwhelm often blame aging, loneliness, or stress. But many times, it is simply hypoglycemia. A 63-year-old woman named Rita from Texas described moments when she suddenly felt emotional for no reason. She would feel like crying. She blamed menopause. But when her doctor monitored her blood sugar, it was dipping critically low. Once corrected, her mood returned to normal. Another frightening issue happens when low blood sugar affects nighttime sleep. Many seniors wake up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. with racing thoughts, pounding heart, sweating, or intense hunger. They think it is stress or nightmares. But in many cases, it is the body waking them up because glucose has fallen too low. The liver tries to release stored sugar during sleep, but if stores are low or the evening meal was too sugary, the liver cannot keep up. This causes the brain to panic and release adrenaline, waking you suddenly. A senior named Martin, 66, from Canada experienced this every night. He thought he had insomnia, but after stabilizing his blood sugar with better meal timing, he started sleeping through the night for the first time in years. Another reason low blood sugar becomes so dangerous after 50 is because seniors often mistake early symptoms for signs of other conditions. Dizziness must be blood pressure. Weakness must be age. Irritability must be stress. Tingling lips must be anxiety. Shakiness must be fatigue. Blurred vision must be the eyes aging. In reality, all of these are classic early signs of glucose dropping. The confusion around symptoms causes many seniors to ignore the early warnings until the episodes become more intense. For seniors who take medications, particularly those for diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety, or heart conditions, the risk increases. Some medications cause sugar to drop faster. Others mask the symptoms so seniors do not feel the warning signs. A 70-year-old woman named Diana from France was on diabetes medication that caused her glucose to dip without her realizing it. She began forgetting names and losing her balance. It was only after her daughter insisted on testing her glucose that they discovered the truth. Adjusting her medication and meals changed everything. One of the most surprising causes of low blood sugar in seniors is skipping meals, often unintentionally. Many older adults eat small breakfasts, small lunches, and then large dinners. They may lose their appetite due to medication or simply get distracted, but the aging body cannot maintain glucose as well as it used to. Long gaps between meals cause sugar levels to crash, especially when earlier meals were high in simple carbs. The liver does not release glucose as efficiently. The muscles do not store sugar as effectively. The brain becomes more sensitive to declines. A 65-year-old man named Stefan from Croatia collapsed in his garden after skipping lunch. He had no idea his body was running on empty. But even seniors who eat regularly can have low blood sugar if their meals are unbalanced. Foods like white bread, sugary drinks, pastries, plain crackers, cereal, fruit juices, and even some breakfast bars spike sugar quickly and then drop it just as fast. These foods create a roller coaster effect. A sharp rise followed by a fast crash. Younger bodies might tolerate these swings, but seniors cannot. Their hormones are slower. Their insulin response is slower. Their digestive system is slower. Their liver's glucose release is slower. These slowdowns make sugar crashes more severe and more frequent. Another hidden cause is stress, which many seniors underestimate. Stress forces the body to burn glucose rapidly. When cortisol spikes, glucose drops quickly after. This is why seniors experiencing emotional stress or caregiving pressure often feel shaky, tired, or irritable. A 64-year-old woman named Sophia from Greece cared for her elderly mother with dementia. She constantly felt weak and sweaty, especially in the afternoons. Doctors checked her heart and blood pressure, both normal. It was her blood sugar, draining rapidly because of chronic stress. The final piece of the puzzle is the brain. As you age, the brain becomes more sensitive to glucose fluctuations. Because it relies on sugar for energy, even small drops can affect memory, decision-making, reaction time, and emotional processing. Seniors experiencing low blood sugar may suddenly forget what they were doing, lose their train of thought, or feel mentally slow. Many fear they are developing dementia, but sometimes the issue is simply glucose instability. These examples show a powerful truth. Low blood sugar in seniors is dangerous not because it appears suddenly, but because it develops slowly and quietly. Until one day, the symptoms are too strong to ignore. Low blood sugar does not announce itself with a loud alarm. It does not arrive like a dramatic collapse or a hospital emergency, at least not at first. Instead, it begins quietly, creeping into your life in subtle ways you barely notice. A slight trembling in your hands, a moment of confusion, a sudden drop in energy, a burst of hunger that feels urgent and out of place. These small signals are your body trying desperately to warn you that your glucose is falling too low. And the reason these signs are so dangerous is simple. Most seniors ignore them, dismiss them, or misunderstand them. They mistake them for stress, exhaustion, or simply getting older. But each sign has meaning, each sign has a purpose, and each sign tells a story about what is happening inside your body. One of the earliest and most common signs is a strange, sudden feeling of weakness, the kind that sweeps through your body like a wave. Seniors describe it as their legs losing strength, their arms feeling heavy, or their whole body feeling drained. This weakness happens because your muscles rely on glucose for energy. When levels fall, your body switches into a kind of emergency mode. A 62-year-old man named Gerald from Florida described it perfectly. It was like someone unplugged me. He thought it was age catching up with him, but when a nurse checked his glucose during one of these spells, it was dangerously low. The weakness was not age, it was fuel deprivation. Another early sign is sudden hunger, the kind that hits you like a punch, even if you just ate. Many seniors feel this intense craving for food and assume their meal was too small. They do not realize this hunger surge is the brain pleading for glucose. The brain does not like running low on fuel, so it sends a powerful message: eat now. A 67-year-old woman named Helen in London experienced this almost every day at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. She thought she simply had a big appetite. But when she started tracking her blood sugar, she discovered her levels were dropping sharply after eating sugary or carb-heavy meals. Her hunger was never about food quantity, it was about instability. Some seniors experience shakiness or trembling, especially in their hands. They may notice their fingers twitch slightly, their hands feeling unsteady, or their body trembling inside. This is because low glucose activates adrenaline, the same chemical released during fear. A 70-year-old man named Paul from Ireland noticed his hands shaking whenever he tried to write in the afternoon. He assumed it was nerve damage. Instead, it was hypoglycemia. When he changed his eating schedule, the trembling disappeared. Another overlooked sign is sweating, especially cold, clammy sweat, even in cool weather. This sweat is caused by the body trying to raise glucose, by activating the sympathetic nervous system. A 68-year-old woman named Marina from Greece said she would occasionally feel a cold sweat drip down her neck even when she was sitting quietly. She thought it was hormonal, but it was her blood sugar dropping too low between meals. Confusion or brain fog is another powerful warning sign. Seniors often feel mentally off, like their thoughts are slower, their memory is unreliable, or they cannot find the right words. They fear they might be developing dementia, but in many cases, the brain is simply running out of fuel. This happened to Arthur, a senior from Belgium, who once forgot how to get home from a familiar store. His doctor discovered his glucose had crashed. Once his levels stabilized, the confusion vanished completely. A related sign is difficulty concentrating. Seniors may sit down to do something simple, read, write, watch TV, and suddenly feel unable to focus. The brain does not have enough glucose to stay alert. Many describe it as if their mind keeps slipping away. A woman named Gloria, 66, said she could not follow conversations when her glucose dipped. She thought she had a hearing issue, but it was actually her blood sugar. Another sign that frightens many seniors is dizziness or lightheadedness. When glucose drops, the brain instantaneously loses its balance signals, making seniors feel unsteady. Some describe it as the room spinning. Others say it feels like they are about to faint. A man named Victor from Sweden said he had to grip the railing every time he stood up because he felt like the world tilted under his feet. When his doctor checked his glucose during these moments, it was significantly low. Some seniors experience rapid heartbeat or palpitations. This can be terrifying. Many fear they are having a heart attack. But often, it is adrenaline rushing through the system to force glucose higher. A 69-year-old woman named Carmen in Spain woke up several nights to her heart pounding violently. She thought something was wrong with her heart. But after testing, doctors discovered her glucose was dropping too low at night. Stabilizing her meals solved the problem. Another surprising sign is irritability. Seniors sometimes feel annoyed, frustrated, or angry for no apparent reason. This is because low sugar affects serotonin, the calming chemical in the brain. When sugar falls, mood collapses. A 63-year-old man named James in Scotland said he would snap at his wife without meaning to. He later discovered his bad moods always matched his glucose crashes. A lesser-known sign is blurred vision. Seniors often blame this on aging eyes, but glucose changes affect the fluid inside the lens of the eye. When sugar drops, vision becomes foggy or distorted. A senior in Canada, Martha, said she sometimes saw double while reading. She feared it was her eyesight declining. Instead, she learned her glucose was swinging wildly because of her breakfast choices. Another subtle but common sign is tingling lips or tongue. When glucose drops, nerves become irritated. Seniors may feel their lips tingling, their tongue buzzing, or their mouth becoming numb. This can be one of the earliest signs of hypoglycemia. A woman named Adriana, 58, noticed this almost daily. She thought it was an allergy. It was her blood sugar falling. Some seniors experience sudden anxiety, a wave of fear that feels like something terrible is about to happen. It comes out of nowhere. No stress, no trigger, just panic. This is the body releasing adrenaline because the brain senses danger. A 68-year-old man named Neil said he had sudden panic episodes that vanished within 15 minutes. When he tested his glucose during one episode, it was dangerously low. His panic attacks were actually sugar crashes. The body has dozens of ways to warn you when glucose is falling too low, but these 12 signs are the most common and the most important. Seniors often experience several of them at once, or one sign repeatedly throughout the day. What makes these signs tricky is that each one mimics something else. Dizziness looks like blood pressure problems, irritability looks like stress, confusion looks like aging, sweating looks like hormones, weakness looks like fatigue, and anxiety looks like a mental health issue. Many seniors spend years treating the wrong thing while the real issue, unstable blood sugar, continues to get worse. But once you learn these signs, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice patterns. You begin to make connections. You begin to understand what your body is truly feeling. You begin to catch the early warnings before they become dangerous. You begin to see which meals help you and which meals hurt you. And you finally stop blaming age for symptoms caused by glucose swings. Recognizing these signs can change everything. It can prevent falls. It can protect your memory. It can stabilize your mood. It can help your heart. It can improve your sleep. It can give you energy again. Most importantly, it can save you from a frightening episode that seems to come out of nowhere. Low blood sugar is not something to fear, it is something to understand. And once you understand it, you finally take back control. Low blood sugar is dangerous not only because of what happens inside your body, but also because of the everyday habits that unknowingly make those drops much more severe. Most seniors do not realize that their lifestyle, their timing of meals, their emotional patterns, and even their attempts to eat healthy can actually push their blood sugar lower and create the very symptoms they are trying to avoid. These habits are learned over a lifetime. They begin in childhood, grow during working years, and by the time someone reaches their 60s or 70s, they feel normal. But normal does not mean harmless. In fact, for adults over 50, these patterns can be the invisible force that triggers glucose drops again and again. One of the most damaging habits is something almost every senior does without realizing it: skipping breakfast or eating the wrong type of breakfast. During the night, your body uses its stored glucose to keep your organs functioning. When you wake up, your reserves are already low. If you skip breakfast, your glucose keeps falling. If you eat something sugary, a bowl of cereal, toast with jam, fruit juice, or pastries, your glucose rises fast and drops even faster. This creates a crash that can hit at mid-morning or early afternoon, leaving seniors weak, shaky, anxious, or confused. A woman named Teresa, 68, from Chicago believed she was doing something healthy by eating fruit and coffee for breakfast. She could not understand why she always felt drained and shaky by 11 a.m. Only when she switched to a protein-based breakfast did her symptoms disappear. She realized her breakfast was not helping her. It was triggering her hypoglycemia. Another habit that worsens low blood sugar is eating long, unpredictable gaps between meals. Many seniors believe that eating only once or twice a day is good for weight control. Some lose their appetite with age. Others get busy, distracted, or simply forget to eat because their hunger signals have become weaker. But the aging liver cannot store sugar the way it used to. When you go too long without eating, the liver cannot release enough glucose to keep levels stable. A 74-year-old man named Gerard from the Netherlands collapsed in his garden after not eating lunch. He thought he was strong enough to skip meals, but his body could not handle the long fasting window. The weakness he felt was not aging. It was low blood sugar slowly draining his energy. Stress is another powerful trigger that many seniors underestimate. Emotional stress, financial worries, caregiving responsibilities, grief, loneliness, and anxiety all drain glucose rapidly. The body burns more sugar during stress because cortisol demands constant fuel. A woman named Nora, 70, from France cared for her husband with Parkinson's disease. She often felt shaky and dizzy in the afternoons, convinced something was wrong with her heart. But her doctor explained that stress was draining her glucose quickly. Her symptoms improved only after she learned to stabilize her meals and manage her emotional load. Dehydration also worsens low blood sugar. Water is essential for every metabolic process. When seniors do not drink enough water, which happens often because thirst decreases with age, their blood becomes thicker, glucose becomes less stable, and the liver struggles to release stored sugar. Many seniors confuse thirst with hunger. Others simply forget to drink throughout the day. A 66-year-old man named Alberto from Portugal experienced tremors every afternoon until his doctor noticed he drank almost no water. Increasing his hydration helped stabilize his levels dramatically. Another hidden mistake is relying on caffeine. Coffee is a daily habit for millions of seniors, but caffeine forces the adrenal glands to release adrenaline, which boosts energy temporarily while draining blood sugar. Seniors who drink coffee on an empty stomach often experience a sharp glucose drop within hours. A woman named Evelyn, 63, always drank coffee before eating breakfast. She thought it gave her energy, but in reality, it triggered hypoglycemia by lunchtime. When she reversed the order, eating first, Drinking coffee later, her trembling and dizziness disappeared. Surprisingly, one of the most destructive habits is eating too many sugary or carb-heavy snacks between meals. Seniors often reach for crackers, biscuits, cereal bars, fruit juices, and healthy granola bars believing they provide quick energy. And they do for a moment. But sugar spikes are followed by sugar crashes. The higher the spike, the deeper the crash. Seniors who rely on quick carb snacks often live in a cycle of spikes and crashes all day long. A retired teacher named Lillian, 72, ate crackers with every afternoon tea because she believed it kept her blood sugar up. But her symptoms kept getting worse. Only when she switched to protein-based snacks did she break free from the roller coaster. Another dangerous mistake is undereating protein. Protein is the stabilizer of blood sugar. It slows digestion, supports muscles, keeps glucose steady, and prevents crashes. But many seniors eat far too little protein because chewing becomes difficult, appetite decreases, or old habits from dieting days remain. A man named Samuel, 65, from Canada ate mostly bread, soup, and fruit. His blood sugar crashed repeatedly because he was not getting enough protein to stabilize his meals. Once he added eggs, fish, and chicken to his diet, his dizziness and confusion improved within days. Late-night eating also worsens low blood sugar. When seniors eat sugary foods at night, cookies, crackers, cereal, desserts, their sugar rises quickly and drops during sleep. This creates nighttime hypoglycemia, which wakes seniors up with pounding heart, sweating, nightmares, or sudden panic. A 68-year-old woman named Maria from Italy thought she had insomnia. But in reality, her late-night cookies were causing her sugar to spike at midnight and crash at 3 a.m. Removing nighttime sugar changed her sleep completely. Some seniors make the mistake of over-relying on fruit, thinking it is always healthy. While fruit contains vitamins, it also contains sugar that can spike and then crash glucose quickly. Seniors who start their day with fruit alone or snack on fruit without protein often crash soon after. A 70-year-old man named Hugo from Germany felt shaky every morning after eating bananas for breakfast. He thought bananas were the perfect morning food, but once he paired them with protein, his symptoms disappeared. Another trap seniors fall into is believing that low-fat or diet foods are safer. These foods often contain artificial sweeteners, fillers, and additives that confuse the body and trigger glucose instability. Artificial sweeteners can trick the brain into expecting sugar, causing insulin release and then a crash. A 62-year-old woman named Corinne from the U.S. drank diet soda several times a day. She thought she was avoiding sugar, but her hypoglycemia episodes became more frequent because artificial sweeteners disrupted her glucose response. When she removed diet soda, her symptoms decreased dramatically. Many seniors also worsen low blood sugar by ignoring early warning signs. A little weakness, ignore it. A moment of dizziness, dismiss it. A sudden wave of hunger, I will eat later. The problem is that these early signs are not minor, they are your body warning you that glucose is dropping. Ignoring them lets the crash deepen. A 65-year-old man named Patrick from Ireland fainted once while working in his yard. He later admitted he had felt shaky and hungry for hours but ignored it. Recognizing and responding to these early signs can prevent severe episodes. Another subtle mistake is emotional eating. Seniors sometimes eat sugary comfort foods during stress, boredom, loneliness, or grief. These foods spike sugar rapidly and cause a fast crash, worsening the emotional symptoms that caused the craving in the first place. A 71-year-old woman named Margaret from Sweden ate chocolate every time she felt overwhelmed. It gave her a few minutes of relief, followed by hours of weakness. She later realized the chocolate was feeding her symptoms, not soothing them. Medications also play a role. Some seniors take drugs that lower blood sugar, especially those with diabetes. But combining these medications with long meal gaps, poor sleep, or carb-heavy meals can cause dangerous crashes. A 70-year-old man named Jean from France had repeated episodes of shaking until his doctor adjusted his medication to match his eating habits. Seniors must be aware that medication timing and food timing must work together, not against each other. Lastly, one of the most overlooked mistakes is the belief that feeling fine means glucose is stable. Low blood sugar can happen even when you feel normal, until suddenly you do not. A 69-year-old woman named Laura from Portugal once said, "It felt like I fell off a cliff. One moment she was fine, and the next she felt faint, confused, and frightened. Her glucose had been falling slowly throughout the day without obvious signs." These hidden mistakes show that low blood sugar is not only about food. It is about timing, habits, emotional triggers, hydration, sleep, stress, and old patterns. Seniors often spend years trapped in a cycle they do not understand because no one teaches them how the aging body changes or how their habits need to evolve with age. But there is hope because once seniors understand these mistakes and stop repeating them, everything changes. Their glucose stabilizes, their energy returns, their mood improves, their sleep deepens, their episodes become less frequent, and they finally break free from the fear of sudden crashes. There comes a moment in every senior's life when they finally connect the dots, when all the strange symptoms, all the unexplained weakness, all the sudden hunger, all the dizziness, all the anxiety, all the sweating, all the confusion, all the trembling, all the mood swings, and all the restless nights suddenly make sense. For many, this moment feels like waking up after years of guessing, years of blaming age, years of thinking, this is just how life feels after 50. It is the moment when they finally understand that their body was never failing them. It was warning them, whispering to them, asking for help. And today, you are reaching that moment too. Because once you learn the signs of low blood sugar, you begin to see your body differently. You begin to understand that every symptom, every little shift in mood, every sudden drop in energy, every moment of fogginess, every unexpected shaking episode, all of it had meaning. Your body was not punishing you. It was protecting you. It was sounding the alarm long before anything dangerous happened. It was trying to stabilize itself, trying to keep you safe, trying to keep your brain working, your heart steady, your legs strong, and your mind alert. The truth is, your body has never stopped fighting for you. Even now, at 60, 70, or 80 years old, it is still working day and night to keep your glucose stable, to keep your brain fueled, to keep your heart beating in rhythm, to keep your muscles functioning, and to keep you moving through your day. But as you age, your body needs more help. It needs more attention. It needs more stability. And it needs you to recognize the signs before they turn into something dangerous. This is why today's message is so important. Because low blood sugar is not always dramatic. It hides. It disguises itself. It blends into everyday life so easily that you barely notice it, until one day the symptoms become too strong to ignore. Many seniors describe the experience as if they had been living in a haze for years. A haze that made them tired, moody, irritable, shaky, weak, confused, emotional, hungry, forgetful, or dizzy, all without knowing why. And when they finally discover that low blood sugar was behind it, they feel a mixture of disbelief and relief. They realize that much of what they blamed on aging was actually something they could change. A senior woman named Caroline, 68, shared something unforgettable. For years, she assumed her sudden irritability, the moments when she felt overwhelmed, and the days when she could barely think straight were signs of early cognitive decline. She feared dementia. She feared her mind was slipping away. She feared something irreversible was happening. But when her doctor explained that irregular eating habits and carb-heavy meals were making her glucose crash, everything changed. After stabilizing her meals and recognizing the early signs, she looked at her husband one morning and said, "I feel like myself again." That sentence carries more power than most people realize. And that is the message your body wants you to hear. You can feel like yourself again. You can feel steady again. You can feel confident again. You can feel strong again. You can feel clear again. You can feel safe again. Because low blood sugar is not a permanent condition. It is a reaction, a signal, a warning. And once you understand the warning signs, once you learn how your body communicates distress, you gain control again. This is where your journey takes a powerful turn. From this moment forward, you will begin to notice the signs that you never paid attention to before. The sudden trembling that you used to ignore will now make sense. The wave of weakness will no longer frighten you. The sudden irritability will no longer confuse you. The dizziness you blamed on your blood pressure will no longer feel mysterious. The sweating you blamed on hormones will no longer frustrate you. And the moments of confusion that made you fear the worst will now feel understandable and preventable. You begin to listen to your body differently, more softly, more patiently, more intelligently. You begin to give it what it needs instead of pushing it through uncomfortable moments. You begin to see food as fuel rather than just a meal. You begin to space your meals with intention. You begin choosing breakfast with more awareness. You begin drinking more water. You begin understanding that coffee on an empty stomach is not energy, it is stress. You begin realizing that sugary snacks do not help you, they hurt you. You begin paying attention to the timing of your meals, the balance of your nutrients, and the signs your brain sends when it is running low. And slowly, sometimes within days, the transformation begins. Your mornings become steadier. Your afternoons become calmer. Your evenings become more peaceful. Your sleep becomes deeper. Your mood becomes more balanced. Your memory becomes sharper. Your energy becomes more stable. Your life becomes easier. Many seniors describe the transformation as a feeling of coming back online, as if their body slowly reconnects to itself after years of miscommunication. A 71-year-old man named Raymond described it perfectly. It is like someone turned the lights back on inside me. For him, low blood sugar had been stealing his clarity, stealing his energy, stealing his confidence. But once he understood the signs, once he learned to catch the dips before they pulled him down, he reclaimed his sense of control. You deserve that same control. You deserve that same clarity. You deserve that same peace. You deserve to feel safe in your own body again. There is something incredibly powerful about understanding your own signals. For the first time in years, maybe decades, you begin to feel like you are working together with your body rather than fighting against it. Every time you choose the right breakfast, every time you avoid long gaps between meals, every time you drink enough water, every time you balance your meals with protein, every time you listen to the early signs instead of pushing through them, you rebuild the trust between you and your body. And that trust becomes your greatest strength. Imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling steady from the moment your feet touch the floor. Imagine making it through the afternoon without that sudden wave of weakness. Imagine walking around the house without feeling dizzy or shaky. Imagine having a clear mind that allows you to focus, read, remember, and enjoy your day. Imagine sleeping through the night without waking in panic. Imagine eating meals that keep your mood balanced and your energy stable. This is not fantasy. This is what happens when you understand and honor your body's signals. You are not powerless. You are not fragile. And you are not too old to change. Your body responds to stability at any age, 60, 70, 80, 90. The final message is simple but life-changing. Listen to your body. Respond to your body. Protect your body. Because every symptom you feel is a conversation. A conversation between your brain, your heart, your digestion, your hormones, and your energy. And today, you have learned the language of low blood sugar, a language most seniors never learn until it is too late. Now you will never misunderstand that language again. Take these signs seriously. Honor the warnings your body gives you. Respect the signals. And use this knowledge to keep yourself safe, strong, balanced, and alive. Your body has carried you through every moment of your life. Now is the moment you carry it with wisdom, with awareness, and with care. You deserve a healthy future. You deserve a stable body. You deserve a peaceful mind. You deserve to feel whole again. This is your new beginning.